And with me now is the governor of Colorado, Jared Polis. Governor, good to see you.
Good afternoon, Chuck.
Let me start with that. I mean, I spent a little time in Colorado. Boulder Democrat in a general election used to be a pejorative.
You know, not only that, we actually did better than Democrats had done in decades in really red areas of our state, like Grand Junction and Colorado Springs. And I think the lesson to extrapolate nationally from that is Democrats shouldn't give up on these tough areas. I mean, yes, there's the Electoral College, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, go to those small towns in Iowa, make it competitive. Go after that competitive seat in electoral vote in Nebraska. We outperformed Democrats up and down by showing up, by being on the ground, and by having a message that resonated with those folks in the middle.
All right, when you see this fight about, let's take Medicare for all, okay? You obviously have a stake in this yourself. You want to see how the Affordable Care Act works. On one hand, I'm guessing as a progressive, you'd like to see universal Medicare for all. On the other hand, is there any notion inside the Democratic Party to try to make Obamacare work right the first time?
You know, I think it's about kind of setting what is the goal. The way I express the goal, what I ran on, what we want to deliver on in Colorado is saving people money on health care. Now, how you configure multiple payers, one payer, public option, those are all tactics. So we're willing to look at every tactic to save people money on health care, because at the end of the day, Chuck, Americans are paying twice the percentage of our income on health care as almost every other industrialized nation, and we don't even cover everybody.
I want to ask you about the S word, democratic socialism. I'm guessing in a place like Boulder, they're like, there might be some democratic socialists. What's the line? How would you express it?
Well, I don't know what they have. You have to have somebody who is self-defined it. I don't know if they all know what it is. I always say I'm a proud capitalist. You know, you and I talked about that. I've started several companies.
No, you started at several companies.
So I think it's a great system that creates prosperity and wealth and allows us to do functions like fund our schools and fund our roads and have a great institutions of higher education and colleges. So, again, everybody will self-define. I'm sure there's overlap on some issues as a basic value. Of course we should achieve universal health care. I don't think that is democratic socialist. Almost every other industrialized nation, even those under conservative governments, have universal health care. So, I mean, that's not a radical concept. It's very mainstream.
I am curious, as somebody who was successful in business, you used your own money to run for office, I think, the first time, if I'm not mistaken. What do you make of this war on wealth that looks like is happening inside the 2020 Democratic primary race?
Well, I think that Democrats want somebody who's qualified to lead. And I think Democrats respect different kinds of qualifications. We respect people who've been leaders in the military. If we might have we respect people who've been successful in business, like Michael Bloomberg or Howard Schultz, who decided not to run as a Democrat. But if he did, he would have been. We respect people who've worked their way through politics, who've been mayors, who've been governors, who've been senators. So I think we want to see some kind of experience that shows that you're good at what you do, whether it's public sector, private sector, or whether it's military.
What defines electability to you? What are you looking for in a presidential candidate?
You know what I'm looking forward to, Chuck, is this is kind of like this open casting call where we have, 20, 30 people that are running. And this is the audition. I mean, for months, we're going to see their mettle, right? We're going to see their hearts. We're going to see how they convey their message. I think what I'm looking for and what many Democrats are looking for, authenticity. Who's the best at establishing that relationship of trust with the voters? Who do we think can win based on those personal characteristics? There's minor differences on the issues. I'm sure those will be blown out of proportion. There's no doubt by, some of your friends, no offense intended. But really, it'll come down to who do you trust and who is competent and capable.
You have two candidates from your state, potentially, Michael Bennet, John Hickenlooper. Do you have a favorite?
Well, we've never had a president from Colorado. Obviously, neither of them are running yet. But it would be amazing to have a president from Colorado. And I'm good friends of both Michael and John. And I will see what they both decide to do.
All right. I want to ask you a couple of Colorado issues. The Denver teacher strike. One of the things it was Michael Bennet who told me this. Starting salary in Denver at public schools for teachers was in the 30s, I believe. If you just drove up I-25 across state lines in Wyoming, you could actually make $10,000 more. And I said, well, what's going on here? And he says, Tabor. And I was like, the old taxpayer bill of rights, that Colorado. And he said, is there going to be an effort to repeal Tabor under the Polis administration?
Well, when matters like that are not so much a governor or a legislature.
I understand, but it is sort of the trickle-down effect of a tight financing system.
Well, there were a couple measures just this last fall that didn't succeed. So there was an education funding measure. There was a road funding measure because of Tabor's, which is in our Constitution.
Right.
Those measures go before the voters. Both failed. So we're looking at what we can do legislatively. What can the state do? What our goal to do there is to reduce some of the special interest tax giveaways and tax credits and reduce the income tax rate, revenue neutral. So it's kind of the concept of tax reform that eluded President Obama, but we're trying to get that done in Colorado.
What message would you send to some of these Democrats who want to talk about some tax increases where a state like Colorado, one on so much policy is progressive, but anytime they're asked about a tax hike, whoop,
well, you know, and it's
tight.
not always the case, Chuck. You know what we found is while the state funding initiative for education failed and the state funding initiative for road failed, a number of local mill levy and bond issues for schools and local initiatives for funding transportation, even in conservative areas like El Paso County, the voters there passed their own initiative to pay for their roads. So when people know it'll be spent on projects that benefit them, their school, not somebody else's school, your roads that you travel on to reduce your traffic, not somewhere else in the state, our voters are willing to make that investment.
All right, Governor Jared Polis, Democrat from Colorado, new governor. I just asked you quickly, do you have any interest in running against Cory Gardner?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I got a job. I love this job. I'm not coming back to Washington.
You're not going to miss it? You don't miss it yet.
Colorado's a great state. We got the skiing. We got the hiking. I'm not coming back to D.C.
All right, Jared Polis, Democrat from Colorado. Good to see you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your views. Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.